MSCI has run out of patience. Lack of clarity on how India will enact a fungibility clause in clubbing FDI and FPI limits has prompted the index to go by the FII limits set for each listed entity. That, in turn, will hurt companies currently part of the MSCI index. Yatin Mota, he's here to explain the changes and its implications. Simplify it for us, Yatin.
Devina, MSCI will consider a very crucial proposal of, looking at FPI limit for the free float. The proposal is irrespective of the company's FDI limit. Now remember, there are two parts to any company's foreign shareholding limits. One is the FDI and one is the FII. More importantly, the finance minister or the current government had announced fungibility between FDI and FII, which means that FDI will be equal to FII and FII will be equal to FDI. In which case, both FDI limits as well as FII limits or FPI limits in a stock would get clubbed. Now, the finance ministry had earlier directed SEBI as well as RBI to sit and propose draft norms with regards to this fungibility. Now, what MSCI is saying that there is no clarity yet from the regulators, be it SEBI or RBI, in which case they will not consider FDI to be a part of the FPI limit. Which essentially means that if suppose a company has a sectoral cap of 24% or 26% FDI, that 25-26% would be not considered under the free float. Now, what this essentially means that a company, for example, which has a 24% FDI limit and a 50% FII limit, the total limit, instead of counting 74%, MSCI will only calculate free float on FII or FPI limit, which is 50%. So, going by this, if MSCI in the coming days, probably by month end, according to a Motilal Oswal sales note, would be deciding upon this mechanism, and if at all MSCI decides to go ahead with only FPI limits for their free float calculations, there will be an outflow of nearly $1 billion from the Indian capital markets, and this is something which is quite worrisome at this point in time. Talking about stock-specific, compilation with the Motilal Oswal sales note, L&T is one of the largest stocks which would see a weight decrease of nearly 0.63%, which would mean that there could be an outflow of nearly $253 million according to Motilal Oswal's calculations. Similar is the case with large cap companies like ITC, Dr. Reddy's, Mahindra & Mahindra as well as Tata Motors, which could see outflow anywhere between $90 million to $150 million. So clearly, this could clearly impact the overall sentiments in the marketplace. Also, some key stocks, we have only considered the top 10 in terms of outflows. GAIL, Aditya Birla, a company called Hindalco, Bajaj Auto, LIC Housing Finance as well as Wipro. These are also the key index stocks which could see outflows. So it really depends on MSCI whether or not they consider FDI to be a part of that limit for the free float calculation. And probably it seems like MSCI has made up its mind, and most likely they are going to remove that FDI free float calculation, and if that happens, as I mentioned earlier, $1 billion of outflow can be seen.
All right. Just to make it clear, this is till the end of September.
Yeah. So by the month end, when the MSCI review happens, MSCI might also consider all of these changes as well. So if they were to do or implement the changes, given there is no clarity from RBI, no clarity from SEBI, they might go ahead and do it. And then
I'm trying to understand when can the selling start from, or do they have to...
it will be effective, in a couple of months.
Okay.
Usually MSCI indices, they give 1.5 month kind of a timeline for the reset, transactions. Probably on the X date or the index effective date, as and when what they decide. September end they decide, and probably implemented in month and a half.